Plaintiff Bruce Banninga says he started selling cocaine after he graduated college. But after getting arrested, he assumed a different identity and went on the run for 4 years. However, today Bruce is suing the defendant, who hired his moving company, then failed to pay the bill. Defendant Jeffrey Angevine admits that he hired Bruce's company to move him. But the day after, he stopped payment on his check because he realized some of his belongings were missing. Therefore, he denies owing anything.
Start with you.
My story's been a wild ride, but also a story of redemption. I grew up with a really good home, like a Leave It to Beaver family, with every chance to succeed in life. I went to college, even graduated from college. While in college, I kind of had some bad habits, and then after college, I decided to start selling cocaine. After selling cocaine...
Did you sell in college at all?
No, sir.
Just used it?
Yes, sir. I was a user. I was a recreational user. But after that, unfortunately, as happens when you continue down that road, I was caught and I was arrested. After I was arrested...
How much were you selling? The amounts?
Small amounts.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
And after that, I was arrested and then got out on bail. And after I got out on bail, I decided to go on the run and assume a different identity for a period of about 4 years. And I was finally pulled...
I'm wondering whether that was plastic surgery. You're a handsome guy. I'm wondering, you're a handsome guy.
Unfortunately, I didn't assume a good identity, and he had some problems. And when I got pulled over one day, that's what happened. So he had sort of a record on him, too. So I was pulled over, then arrested, then taken back. And unfortunately, I was sentenced to 5 years and went to prison. And while I was in prison, I had my home stolen from me. Also, both of my parents died while I was in there. But I got out and started working for a moving company. And about 3 years later, I started my own business. And, you know, it's been a little bit slow, but things are progressing and it's getting better.
It's allowing you to make a living, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Legally. Good.
Legally.
Plaintiff Bruce Banninga owns a moving company and was hired to move the defendant. But the defendant claims he refuses to pay Bruce because some of his property went missing during the move.
One of the things we do at our community center, Mathis Community Center, is we help ex-offenders get their records expunged. And we put 26 in the business for themselves because we couldn't get them hired. And we did it through franchises. I put up half the money in the county, Wayne County. We put up some 1, 2, 3, 4, four-figure money each, and out of the 26 now, and that was about 8 years ago, 22 are still in business. And we put them into the janitorial companies where the corporation, they provide the contracts for you. You buy a franchise, and once you pay your franchise fee, they give you the equipment and they give you the work. Wow. They get the contracts from the libraries, from the corporate offices, and then they give it to their franchisees that are in that area. So that's worked very well, putting ex-offenders in the business for themselves when they can't find employment. In fact, we had one of the gentlemen that returned a few years back, maybe 2 years after he had gone into business, showed his tax return $165,000 he had made that year. So for those who are ex-offenders who are unable to gain employment, do the best you can, but keep your eye out on any small opportunity you can find to be self-employed. So congratulations. You give me some background on yourself.
I first met Bruce through a mutual acquaintance back in 2011 in the fall at a concert in St. Augustine, Florida. And we were standing there talking, and Bruce had told our mutual friend about his drug dealings and being on the lam and a new identity.
You asked for a blow, huh? You got a blow tonight?
I just wanted to listen to the concert. But, you know, so I got the full detail on all that, and you know, he had quite a reputation following him. I've seen Bruce off and on throughout the years, mostly at concerts that I go to with a mutual friend, and we seem to end up running into each other. Last year, I was getting ready to move. My mutual friend said, hey, Bruce does that. If you're interested, I'll give him your number. And so, I had talked to 3 or 4 people, and I figured I'd give somebody that was a mutual friend, a shot. And so
Excellent.
That's what happened.
Tell me what happened in this instance that caused you to sue him.
Well, we set a fee of $350, which I
To do what? And when was it?
to move all his belongings from a house to a new house.
Okay. When?
And that was in March of 2018.
All right. What happened?
We settled on $350, of which he paid me $200 in cash, and then wrote me a check for $150, of which he stopped payment on the check. I tried to get in touch with him through text messages and calling, and he didn't respond.
How long did you try?
Within a year's period, and then I actually talked to him several weeks ago. And
Was the first time?
No, that was the first time he had actually gotten back with me, and I had spoke with him about it.
So it took you over a year to get him to answer the phone, essentially.
Yes,
to
Your
get
Honor.
him to communicate with you.
Yes,
And what did he say then regarding the check?
He mentioned that some things were missing out of his memorabilia collection.
And that's why I didn't pay you? Is that essentially what he said?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you ask him, why didn't you mention it to me when I was moving?
I wondered about that.
Why didn't you ask him about it? Let me hear from you.
Your Honor, shortly after I moved in, within a couple days, I moved in on a weekend, and on Monday, I had torn apart boxes, and there were some things that were missing. And I had sent him a text message asking where my stuff was. I had no response. So on Monday, since I hadn't heard from him, the only thought I had in my mind was the only recourse I had was to stop payment on that check. I hadn't heard from him. I had sent him messages.
When did you hear from him? He said he tried to get to you and he couldn't reach you for a year.
About 2 or 3 weeks ago is the first time I've heard from him, in about a year. Yeah,
I don't think he would wait and sue you a year later had he not been trying to contact you first.
I very rarely, I know this is unusual in today's society, very rarely use my cell phone, only when I'm traveling.
You don't check your message.
People know to call me on my landline, and it sends me a message on my email, and I get that right away. So, but I had not received messages from him.
Plaintiff Bruce Banninga owns a moving company and was hired to move the defendant. But the defendant claims he refuses to pay Bruce because some of his property went missing during the move.
Did you have his address? Why didn't you write him a letter?
I didn't write him a letter, but I do have a copy of text messages.
Let's see it. Because I do know folks who are like that. You put a stop payment on the 100, and I was charged a $12 fee. This was March of 18. Well, sir, I just don't believe this man would wait. I believe he did attempt. It's similar to a default judgment that a court grants when a person is suing someone and the defendant doesn't respond. You do have to show the court proof of service, proof that you requested your money. You must prove to the court that you did all you could to reach them, and then the court will say, okay, well, judgment granted, even though the person claims they don't know about it. And this could cause, this happens with millions of dollars. I just read something about someone got a default judgment for like $100 million against them. Wow. Suge Knight, the head of the previous death row records, I think it was $105 million by these folks who may not want their name mentioned, so I'm not. Well, everybody knows a cat named Mike Harris. In Los Angeles, he and Lydia Harris, they invested and put up the money for death row, and he went to prison. The guy Michael Harris still there, and Suge denied that they had ever given him anything. They sued and received a default judgment because Suge Knight did not respond. But it never went to trial because he failed to respond. And that is similar to this. And it's not an issue of whether you had knowledge, because you had knowledge time you were served prior to coming here.
Yes, sir.
And you still didn't pay. And I have evidence that you stopped it. So unless you have evidence to the contrary showing that he was negligent, but
Yes,
that
sir.
was a year ago. It's going to be hard for you to prove that he was negligent if you didn't tell him that a year ago. Let's see what you have if you want to show me something.
Is there a response from me on those text
No,
messages?
you don't respond to anything.
Because I never got them.
Well, yeah, and that's what they said. That's what Suge Knight said. I never got it. Well, you don't get $105 million, but I'm gonna give you this $150. He failed to respond. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day.